Hey there, I'm AnthonyRomano. Welcome back to the 45th video on whey protein on this page. But this video is going to be really helpful for you because it's going to teach you some keys that you need to know about using whey protein in particular, but in general, every sort of protein supplement you consume. Okay, so I'm going to try to make this quick, and if you could like the video, that's going to make YouTube show my content to more people. All you got to do to help me grow my page. Let's get into it, but before we do, if you just want to have all the answers for whey protein for free, I literally wrote a whey protein guide that you can get in the link in the description on my website, romanoketo.com. Literally, it's everything that I've accumulated from all these videos I made on whey and protein in general in one guide, okay? And it's probably everything else that I'm going to make content-wise about whey in there as well. So just get it, okay? Please, because I'm tired of answering so many questions on whey protein. Now let's go. So, there are so many studies on so many different types of protein, and a lot of those things I've referenced or pulled information from in the whey protein guide, okay? So I'm just going to go over some insights here so you can understand the principles. For starters, number one, with whey protein, this is what I've spoken about before, it's highly insulinogenic. That is actually the main draw of whey protein, is the insulin spike it comes packaged with because there's no sugar or carb, it's just protein. And the insulin spike is going to shuttle those amino acids into your muscles, and you know, from there, it's not something you want to have in the morning first thing if you're trying to lose body fat, because an insulin spike is going to ruin that. So keep in mind, whey protein, it's insulinogenic, okay? And that's beneficial in a muscle building context. And starting the day off that way when you're trying to, in a fat burning context, is not optimal, okay? However, timing that after a workout is going to amplify your body's sort of propensity to uptake those amino acids, and that's why whey is marketed so heavily as a post-workout sort of thing. So that is one key point off the start. Now, on that note, you'd never really want to sip whey protein over the course of hours, okay? Partly because, you know, it's highly insulinogenic, okay? It needs to reach peak concentration to slam everything where it needs to go, right? To escort those amino acids into the muscles and other tissues. But the thing is, too, you want to reach a peak amino acid concentration. So if you're just sipping this, not only are you not going to do that, but you're basically going to be teasing your body with these insulin spikes by sipping it over hours. So that's going to halt fat burning a little bit, and at the same time is going to not get the desired effect for muscle building. So you want to make sure you're actually not pounding it back, but having it, you know, within an hour, within a half hour, okay? So on that note too, mixing in other things into whey protein is probably not the most optimal, okay? If you're mixing in a load of carb, the carbohydrates are going to need to be digested in an alkaline stomach environment. Meanwhile, protein digests in a more acidic environment to get broken down. So if you're combining those two in one shake, not optimal, something's not going to get digested, and you're going to get the protein farts, okay? I promise you, if you just start not having carbohydrates around your whey protein consumption, or protein for most, you know, protein shakes for most other types, you're not going to get gas or anything like that, because that comes from improper gut acidity, or pH, basically, when you're trying to digest something, and then something doesn't get broken down the way it's supposed to, so it just rots in your stomach and creates gas, okay? Now, the next point, do you have to have whey during this sort of anabolic window? No. Will that enhance the effect if you have it shortly after a workout? Yes. But what you can actually do to maximize the fat burning and muscle building properties of whey, this is a tip nobody else is going to throw at you, because this is a tip taken from my book, the Keto Shred program, which you can get on my website. Now, you don't have to be doing keto dieting for this to work, but this stuff is the best keto fat loss strategies that I've built over a decade of doing keto. That's right. I've been doing keto since 14, okay? I'm a nutcase. So, when we get into the effects here, if you hit your workout and then you wait a little bit of time, you're going to maximize how much fat you're actually burning because of something called the Cortis-Douglas effect. This is an effect where after exercise, your body starts producing ketones, whether or not you're on a ketogenic diet. So even though I talk so much about keto, and I'm not saying that you have to do it, there's plenty of ways you can go about achieving your goals. Part of the reason I believe it is so powerful and the body's innate strategy to achieve certain results and mental states and health benefits is because your body tries to force ketosis all the time. It really does. When you're growing up, when you're a baby, when you're, you know, in your most developmental stages of your life, when a certain growth hormone, all these other things are elevated, your body is forcing ketosis. The one food we know humans are meant to eat when they're babies, breast milk, fat and protein. That's all it is, a little bit of lactose perhaps. So unless the mother just like pounded back a Coca-Cola beforehand. But the point is, what I'm getting at is you are going to burn more body fat after that exercise because your body perceives the demand to start using more stored fuel because it sees that you haven't gotten any in. So you're going to maximize the fat burn because of the Cortis-Douglas effect, where your body starts making more ketones from body fat after exercise, whether or not you're on a keto diet. So if you're on a 300 carb, 400 carb a day diet, you're still going to get that effect if you don't eat for an hour or so after your workout. So let's say you're somebody who's in a very aggressive fat loss phase, but you want to build some muscle. Well, maybe hit your workout, an intense one, a good one, wait a little bit of time, and then from there, have your whey protein shake slam that insulin effect. You're going to get increased glucose transporter activation because of the exercise in a low insulin state, and then that's going to really maximize the uptake of amino acids you actually consume, especially if you've had the whey in a timely manner. It's, not like being drawn out and there's nothing else in it. And then that's going to maximize the fat burn and muscle building effects. Where else are you going to hear that information on the internet? I don't know. So subscribe and like this video and follow me on Instagram. And get Keto Shred if you just want to go straight to the promised land and get ripped. But this is the last tip I'm going to throw at you before I end the video. So this is the best one for last, so always stay to the end. The other thing too is you want to make sure that the proteins you're actually using, supplement-wise, are naturally sweetened. I cannot stress this enough. This is something that everybody overlooks because there's just some new cool brand that has some other, proprietary blend that they just slap their label on. They have no clue about what's actually in there, and the ingredients are not natural. So why is this a problem? Well, I guarantee you look at the jug of protein you have in your house, unless you are somebody who's consciously aware of the sweeteners and artificial ingredients, it is going to have one of the following, at least: sucralose, a sulfate potassium, and if it's really bad, high fructose corn syrup, maybe MSG. Less likely, they'll probably phrase that as, modified food starch is what it will say. MSG tricks your brain into thinking something tastes better than it does, so you keep buying the same brand of protein. There's a lot of brands that use this. And then the other really bad end of the spectrum, if you got just the worst protein you were roped into buying, is if you see artificial dyes. So red dye number 40, yellow number 5. If you see these things, these chemicals are structurally similar to estrogen, and your body's going to handle them the same way. And this is a problem whether or not you are a man or a woman. Messing with your hormone balance, especially by adding in too much estrogen, causes problems. So for men and women, there's a load of, you can go down the rabbit hole and figure that out and see how problematic that can be. I shouldn't have to explain that here. But the point is, get clean proteins. What does a clean protein look like? Well, stevia sweetened, okay? Some sort of organic root. So if it's a whey protein, if it's an animal-based protein, if you can get grass-fed, pasture-raised, that is the gold standard, okay? Now, from there, you want it to be devoid of pesticides. You want it to be devoid of all these other things that might be in the crops that were either fed to an animal, which produced the protein, or from the crops that were used to produce the actual protein. So for some people getting, plant proteins, a lot of times that's an excuse for these manufacturers to just slap together a bunch of plant products that didn't sell well and were going rancid, okay? And they slap it together and, oh yeah, it's a blend of pumpkin seed and hemp seed. It's like, no, there was just a bunch of stuff that had a crappy shelf life and you're repurposing it. So you have to get good quality proteins no matter what kind you get. And from there, I would say the only one I'd really recommend above for plant proteins is pea protein isolate. That's really the only one that I think has efficacy behind it. But whey protein, as long as you can digest lactose, is best. In worst case, get one without lactose or one with a lactase enzyme in it. So that is it for this video. Get clean proteins, stevia sweetened, grass-fed, pasture-raised, devoid of artificial colors and flavors, and no sucralose either. It's not the best. It's not the worst if you have it occasionally, but you don't want any of these artificial ingredients in there. It's going to it'll make you hungrier on a fat loss diet, and it will basically trick you into thinking that crappier quality protein is better. So that is it for this video. I'm AnthonyRomano. Subscribe right now, like the video, and follow me on Instagram too. And go to my website, romanoketo.com, if you want the whey protein guide. It literally is, I can't even explain all that's in there, okay, in a video. It would take way too long. That's why I have 50 videos on whey protein. Peace.